Music Association Fest, the National Museum of African American Music, is spotlighting Black contributions to country music. The Ben Country event in Nashville, Tennessee runs tomorrow from 2 to 7 p.m. with free discussions and new exhibits. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Every day, a child in poverty waits for a sponsor is another day of hopelessness. There are thousands of kids who've been waiting over a year. In their wait, sponsor a child with compassion today. Just text the word radio to 83393.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Game 1 of the NBA Finals goes to the Indiana Pacers. And it was Tyler Halliburton again who lifted Indiana to a dramatic win. For the fourth time in this postseason, Halliburton hit a game-tying or go-ahead shot in the final 5 seconds to give Indiana a stunning 111-110 victory in Oklahoma City. Indiana never led in the game until Halliburton's shot went through the nets with 0.3 of a second left in the fourth quarter. OKC wasted a game-high 38 points by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. A couple of head-scratching numbers from last night. Indiana is 4-0 in Game 1s in this year's playoffs. Indiana committed 20 turnovers in the first half. The Pacers ended up with 25 for the game, but OKC scored only 11 points off those turnovers. OKC also failed to hold on to a 15-point lead at home with 9 minutes left. Game 2 is Sunday night in OKC. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
LA's newest soul food restaurant is getting spectacular reviews.
Great place with amazing food. The Sunday champagne brunch is fabulous. I saw the place on IG. We tried it for lunch. We were blown away by the food and the service. The restaurant has an inviting atmosphere and a dynamic vibe.
Over the years, Lionel has catered most major Black events in Los Angeles, including all of our KBLA Talk 1580 gatherings. But now he has his own spot, Lionel's Soul Food Cuisine, and you need to check it out at 8501 South Vermont Avenue in Los Angeles. Oxtails, baked or fried chicken, meatloaf, turkey chops, pork chops, catfish, short ribs, and all the fixins. Collard greens, mac and cheese, yams, red beans, black-eyed peas, and more. And of course, hot water cornbread, satisfying drinks, and delicious desserts. Lionel's is a great place for brunch, lunch, or dinner. If it's good enough for us, it's good enough for you, because we've got your black. So head on over to Lionel's Soul Food Cuisine at 8501 South Vermont Avenue in Los Angeles and tell Lionel you heard about it on KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. A very special guest today is none other than Al Grenon Penn. I'm going to call up Al Penn and introduce him in just a moment, but I do want to comment on the idea that this fight between Donald Trump and Elon Musk isn't going anywhere anytime soon. It's just getting worse. Yesterday, Elon Musk essentially canceled the U.S. space program. And then after having talked to someone on Twitter telling him to take a step back to let cooler heads prevail, he then decided to allow the American space program to continue forward. That means we could have astronauts, or could have had astronauts stranded in space. because Elon Musk decided that he did not want to come to the terms that the President of the United States has asked him to come to. And that means get out of the government business, which he never should have been in the first place. There's a lot to be said about private actors controlling tax dollars, having an amazing amount of contracts in the federal government, being able to jerk the government of the American people around at their whim. I can only imagine that the idea that one man can cancel the U.S. space program has to be getting the attention of just about everyone on planet Earth. It also means that he can stop sending satellites to space. It also means that he can disrupt communications in times of war. But he can also disrupt communications in times of peace. Algernon Penn, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
To be here.
I'm really honored that you're here. Al Penn has worked in residential and commercial lending industry for over 20 years. Currently, he's the president of Penn Consulting Group, a Chicago-based private commercial brokerage firm that assists in procuring funding for development projects throughout the United States and internationally. He's been involved with development projects in Latin America, Africa, and China, but most importantly, Al is one of the nation's leading political consultants. I'm particularly honored that he's here on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Al, I think we have about 1 minute before we go to, 2 minutes before we go to, before we come forward. Your thoughts on the feud that's taking place between Donald Trump and Elon Musk?
It is a sad example of what happens when people tend to think that government can be ran like a business. It's a bad situation where obviously there's a difference of opinion in terms of what should be done. Here you have Elon Musk, who's given Donald Trump somewhere in the area of about $350 and $400 million for him to be elected. And basically what Elon Musk is telling Donald Trump, I own you. I made you and I can destroy you. There's no concern in the middle of the American public and the American people in terms of what's good for them. Here you have two rich men, one of which who is the richest person on earth, another one who has made his money in a variety of ways, who has dabbled into politics, moved into politics now, and basically shouldn't be president of the United States, but should be, but obviously shouldn't be for various reasons. And each one of them are catering to their own individual interests. Donald Trump, on the other hand, has been grifting off the American people and the American government in full frontal view against the law and against the Constitution.
Al?
Yes.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. When we come forward, we'll have more with Algernon Penn.
KBLA Talk 1580 is an intervention. When we come forward, includes you. KBLA Talk 1580, turning pain into power.
1 2 1 2 1 2 1 2. You ready?
Somebody make some noise in this joint.
KBLA Talk 1580 celebrates its 4th anniversary this year on Juneteenth.
Here we go again.
Hard to believe 4 years has gone by so fast.
Oh my God.
But here we are, still standing, still loving and serving our people as best we can.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
To celebrate our 4th anniversary, we have 4 big events, and you're invited to all of them.
She got a lot to say. Let's do this.
Let's get it on.
On Wednesday, June 18th, we go live on C-SPAN for the 2nd consecutive year with our Climate Justice Plus Black Health Symposium. Tavis Smiley will moderate an all-star panel of thinkers and influencers as we continue our vitally important climate justice work.
Hey, Tavis
On Thursday, June 19th, you're invited to join us as we celebrate Juneteenth and our 4th anniversary. There will be plenty of food, fun, great music, good vibes, and all of your favorite KBLA Talk 1580 hosts will be there.
Yeah, man.
Took the beat. On Saturday, June 21st, there are 2 big events you're invited to attend.
I can't wait to hear it.
This year, KBLA Talk 1580 continues its annual partnership with the Empowerment Congress for a community celebration and dialogue to educate, engage, and empower. This year's theme is resilience in the face of chaos.
Can't wait to see what's up next.
Y'all ain't ready for this.
And new this year is our State of Black Women in Los Angeles Symposium, moderated by Dominique DePrima, with a luncheon to follow. Dominique will be leading a dialogue with some of the most impactful Black women leaders in Los Angeles, and you're invited to join.
This is it.
All of these events are free, but seating is limited, so you must register in advance at our KBLA1580.com website, where you can find all the details you need about each event.
Check it out.
It's our 4th anniversary, and we would love to celebrate it with you.
I love you guys so much. There's nothing you can do about it.
We're KBLA Talk 1580.
The only black talk radio station west of the Mississippi.
Thank you for having our black.
Happy anniversary, KBLA.
Love you. Love you.
The State of the People Power Tour is not a moment, it's a movement. 11 cities, one mission. To organize with care, build with strategy, and remind ourselves that we have never needed saving. This Friday and Saturday, the State of the People Power Tour arrives in LA for its final stop. The State of the People Power Tour is not just a series of stops. It's a signal, a shift, a belief that power lies in the hands of everyday people. A belief that if we show up for each other, our communities will be stronger. Join us this Friday, June 6th in Los Angeles at the Seed School and on Saturday, June 7th at Pasadena City College. We need you in the room to link arms with neighbors and leaders from across the country to build something that will last, because we believe if we move together, we will rise together. For more information and to register, go to stateoftheppl.com and join us as we build a new nation where every voice matters.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Hi, I'm Chuck McDowell, the timeshare cancellation guy and founder of Wesley Financial Group. And I want to set the record straight. I am not an attorney. I've never wanted to be an attorney. And the truth is, I really don't even like attorneys. If I sound like an attorney, I'll apologize. But what I've learned in my 15 years in the timeshare cancellation business is you don't need to be an attorney to get folks out of their timeshare. At Wesley, we've helped over 40,000 families cancel their timeshare, and I want to share with you how we do it. Just give my office a call. I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare or you'll pay nothing. Attorneys, this was meant to be funny, so please don't sue me, especially my friend Kenneth from Black River Falls, Wisconsin.
Call now for your free timeshare exit info kit. 800-857-8866. 800-857-8866. 800-857-8866.
Heard any other talk radio lately that sounds anything like this? We didn't think so. You're listening to Unapologetically Progressive, KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Algernon Penn is my very special guest. Al, how are you?
Man, I'm doing fine today.
Al, just before the break, we were talking about the relationship that appears to be deteriorating every minute between Donald Trump and Algernon Penn and Elon Musk.
Yeah, it's a real bad situation where you have two of the most powerful men in terms of money. One is the president, one is the richest man in the country, and they're both posturing to be absolutely correct, but have forgotten about the American people in the middle. The thing that concerns me more than anything else at this point is that Elon Musk was essentially fired by the administration. He's been let go. The damage has been done, but I also say that there's damages that are still yet manifested because of Trump's appearance inside of government. We don't have a document detailing what was done. We don't have a document detailing what was found. We don't know who's still in the government. Donald Trump gave him the keys to the front door, the back door, the side door, and the garage. And we have no idea what was done. And Elon Musk holds all of the leverage at this point because he gave Donald Trump $350 million.
Al, let me pivot to the question of the state of the Democratic Party. Your thoughts on whether or not the Democrats are still well positioned for 2026, and or whether or not their message is ringing hollow in the hinterlands of the United States?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think in terms of 2026, I think independents are watching this meltdown between the two, and they want real leadership coming out of Washington. They have also acknowledged the fact that Elon Musk was a huge detriment against the American people and against, the government. And Congress has a lot to do with that, but they've abdicated all their authority. And so the thinking is that there's a lot of pushback by the American people about what was done by Elon Musk. That factors into 2026. But also Democrats have to move beyond just the issue that Donald Trump is the big bad boogeyman. They have to really be able to solve some issues and talk about those issues and those antidotes that are going to help people. I tend to think that they're better positioned now than they were, maybe a few months ago. But they have got to start messaging the people about what their lives ought to be and what decisions and what antidotes that they have that can cure some of these issues and these problems. So we have to be seen.
I'm particularly concerned about about whether or not, for example, the expected midterms elections will create the kind of blue wave necessary to hold Donald Trump accountable. I mean, the margins right now in the Congress are so very narrow. The question for me is whether or not you sense the polling that you've heard from the people that you've talked to in your industry, whether or not there is momentum in the direction of blue, or do you see the status quo?
I still see the status quo, mainly because there were 40 million people, poor people, who sat out the election who were not spoken with or spoken to about their condition and their economic issues. Democrats have to really stop forcing the idea that Donald Trump is the boogeyman, which we all understand that he is, but the electorate has gone the opposite way of conventional thinking. They feel that it's economic, it's not so much Donald Trump, it's the fact that Democrats haven't come up with decisions or ideas that's going to make their lives better. And so I just don't see it translating into 2026 just as of yet. We still are in the early portion of Donald Trump's administration for the second time. It probably by the end of the year, we may have a better perspective in terms of what that looks like.
With the majority in the Congress, where you need 218 votes to get anything done, it seems to me we're going to hear 218 messages.
Yeah.
Very few of them are going to actually move beyond the confines of every individual congressional district. Just no national messaging. Without a national figure running for president of the United States before the midterm, building the kind of momentum towards an agenda in 2028 that will resonate with the new Congress in 2026. I just don't think personally that House Democrats can do it alone, because the politics, Al, become so provincial, so local, so quickly that we lose sight of the threat that democracy faces with Donald Trump.
I agree with you. I tend to think if Democrats really want to take their cue, they might want to take a look at some of these big city elections, like there's a mayoral election that's going on in New York. And I can't, for the life of me, I cannot pronounce his name, but he's an Indian who's running for mayor. And one of the things that really impressed me was the fact that How is he getting such fabulous poll results in a time where Democrats are not really polling well nationally? He says very simple. He says, we're not used to listening, and I've made a decision to listen to what the people are saying and what the people are telling me. And so what he's actually done is gone throughout the city of New York and basically had conversations with leaders there and residents there to kind of help formulate his agenda. It's not the other way around that we typically see, a top-down agenda, from on high down to the people. The people are basically, in his opinion, formulating their own opinion that they want to see happen. And I think maybe the Democrats need to take their cue and get on a lot of listening tours across the country to hear what other Democrats and other voters have to say.
Since 1984, I've campaigned in just about every state in every presidential cycle, except for the obvious cycle that I missed. We campaigned in at least 9 states for Kamala Harris in the last campaign, so I have some sense of what the country looks like. But because you brought up New York, in this moment, at 60 years old, I can't even imagine what it means and how do you campaign in New York. I mean, these buildings, it's not like you have enough money to send persuasive mail or the cost of a billboard in New York City, or you got to be on television. I mean, the only way to get in these buildings is on television, to get on in these buildings through social media. And when you tell me that the Indian gentleman who's running for mayor of New York has a strategy of listening to the people, I mean, what, in the Bronx? I mean, in Manhattan? I mean, what neighborhood? Because of just the sheer size of that thing. Mm-hmm. It's just amazing. So let me get back to this national messaging, though. I don't know what the national messaging is that's coming out of California from the Governor Gavin Newsom in that state. We know that his podcasts focuses on trying to find a way to hear and to listen to MAGA, right? We have out of Illinois, the Governor Pritzker is really picking up the bloodstained banner of liberalism and fighting for liberal causes everywhere he can, including in courts, challenging the president. Hooray to the governor of Illinois for that. Josh Shapiro's not saying very much at all. He was touted during the Democratic convention as being a Kamala Harris second man, vice president, probably something that he didn't want to do. I think there's a senator down in Arizona who was married to one of my colleagues who was unfortunately shot at a mall while she was doing congressional work. Mm-hmm. I don't know if he's thinking about throwing his hat in the ring, but I just don't see national messaging from Democrats that speaks to the broad-based rainbow that is represented and was represented by Jesse Jackson, and to a more successful degree represented by Barack Obama.
I don't either. And that's what concerns me, is that they're paralyzed in a position of determining, do we use the playbook of Trump is all things evil, or do we talk to the American people about their issues, which in some cases are Trump manufactured, to figure out what solutions that they bring? I mean, we can talk about Donald Trump from now until another 6,400 days, and it's really not changing anything unless Democrats have marching orders that work, and they have issues that work, and they listen to the people about the issues that are affecting them that they feel is important, that they want their representatives to work on. And until that happens, I'm just wondering myself, what is the messaging that's going to come out of Washington?
So in your business, Al, as a political consultant, you hear these little messages in little campaigns around the country, some of which will lead to Democratic victories, some will lead to MAGA victories. Help us frame a national message that can bring all Democrats together. Obviously, I think it starts with the economy. What should Democrats be saying about the economy, and what should they be saying together about the economy?
Well, the economy is splintered off into many different sections. It's obviously the price of things, the affordability of things. It's also in terms of housing. It's also the issues of jobs. That's all basically layered into the economy. People will look at now versus, let's say, the last couple of years, and they will talk about the increase of cost for food, the increase of cost for gasoline, those things like that. And people aren't so concerned so much about, yeah, it costs too much, but they want to know the when and not necessarily the how. I think the electorate has changed quite a bit. They're not no longer patient enough to hear the solution. They just want it fixed. And I'm just not sure if in their own minds is that, if they hear someone say, well, we have to do A, B, and C to fix it, are they going to be patient enough to do it? I hear a lot of young people talk about now, different than maybe in our day, in terms of housing, how housing is not really a real good strategy in terms of building their economic base. And so it's shifted and it's changed now, but I just don't know if the solutions is going to be, we have this idea and this dynamic so we can fix it. They want to know, can you fix it now rather than fix it later?
I'm thinking in 2026, maybe a take on Ronald Reagan, a spinoff on Ronald Reagan. Are you better off now, 2 years later, than you were 2 years ago?
Correct.
Not 4 years, 2 years. Are you sleeping better? Has your anxiety gone down? Is your job more secure or less secure? Is your Social Security more or less secure? Is your neighbor better off today than they were just 2 years ago? Those of you who love your neighbors as a commandment?
Yes.
Well, are you better off now with 2 more years of Donald John Trump than you were before you didn't vote 2 years ago in November? It seems to me that the appeal has to be economic, right? But it also has to appeal to the anxiety, to the worry, to the sense of unease that Americans generally have about democracy and democratic processes. I think my producer is showing me that we have about a little less than 1 minute. Algernon, your thoughts, and then we'll come forward with a 10-minute segment.
I always try to look at the fact of where I once was financially, where I am now financially. And I can tell you in talking to a lot of people who are in their early 40s who are rearing children, it's extremely difficult for them. And they're looking for some sort of a break from all of this, some sort of respite from it, but we can get back into that.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. When we come forward, Algernon Penn has worked in home ownership as a home ownership advocate in the African-American community across the country. As vice president for Future Partnerships for the Home Gift USA, Inc., he was responsible for the development of the Keys of the Kingdom Home Ownership Initiative. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. When we come forward, Algernon Penn is our special guest.
A safe place to go loud. A great place for progressive politics. KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Amber Payton with BIN News Now. A woman known as Jane says she booked hotel nights for Sean Diddy Combs and was pressured to meet his sexual demands or risk losing their relationship. Combs was warned in court for making gestures at the jury. He's pleaded not guilty to sex trafficking and other charges. President Trump is reportedly planning to extend the deadline for a TikTok sale again. That's according to the Wall Street Journal, which cited people familiar with the president's plans. This will be the third extension granted by Trump since he retook office in January. TikTok's China-based owner must sell the popular video sharing app or it will face a ban in the U.S. The current deadline is June 19th. And Reverend Leleda Gee has been named Chief Cultural Officer of the Center for Black Excellence and Culture in Madison, Wisconsin. A longtime resident, Gee will lead efforts to celebrate and advance Black culture. The center says she's been key to its development. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
Every day, a child in poverty waits for a sponsor is another day of hopelessness. There are thousands of kids who've been waiting over a year. End their wait. Sponsor a child with compassion today. Just text the word radio to 83393.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
Game 1 of the NBA Finals goes to the Indiana Pacers. And there was Tyler Halliburton again who lifted Indiana to a dramatic win. For the fourth time in this postseason, Halliburton hit a game-tying or go-ahead shot in the final 5 seconds to give Indiana a stunning 111-110 victory in Oklahoma Oklahoma City. Indiana never led in the game until Halliburton's shot went through the nets with 0.3 of a second left in the fourth quarter. OKC wasted a game-high 38 points by Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. A couple of head-scratching numbers from last night. Indiana is 4-0 in game ones in this year's playoffs. Indiana committed 20 turnovers in the first half. The Pacers ended up with 25 for the game, but OKC scored only 11 points off those turnovers. OKC also failed to hold on to a 15-point lead at home with 9 minutes left. Game 2 is Sunday night in OKC. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the voice of reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the voice of reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
The State of the People Power Tour is not a moment, it's a movement. 11 cities, one mission. To organize with care, build with strategy, and remind ourselves that we have never needed saving. This Friday and Saturday, the State of the People Power Tour arrives in LA for its final stop. The State of the People Power Tour is not just a series of stops. It's a signal, a shift, a belief that power lies in the hands of everyday people. A belief that if we show up for each other, our communities will be stronger. Join us this Friday, June 6th in Los Angeles at the Seed School and on Saturday, June 7th at Pasadena City College. We need you in the room to link arms with neighbors and leaders from across the country to build something that will last, because we believe if we move together, we will rise together. For more information and to register, go to stateoftheppl.com and join us as we build a new nation where every voice matters.
Hi, I'm LA City Councilman Curran Price, inviting you to join us on Saturday, June the 14th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. as we cut the ribbon on the brand new Enel Woods Park at 8703 South McKinley Avenue. Thanks to a generous donation from Heal the Bay, the park features smart irrigation, stormwater capture systems, and space for local wildlife to thrive. And we've built a walking trail, picnic areas, native landscaping, and quiet spaces for families to gather, relax, and connect. This is part of a much larger effort to expand green spaces across South LA with 3 new parks in the works, a first-of-its-kind community center coming soon, and plans to connect it all through the South LA Greenway. So mark your calendar for Saturday, June 14th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., and come celebrate a greener, stronger South LA at Enel Woods Park. I'm also pleased to sponsor the Climate Justice Plus Black Health Symposium, moderated by Tavis Smiley, live on C-SPAN, Wednesday, June the 18th, from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center. Just a reminder to sign up right away at the KBLA1580.com website to join me, Mayor Karen Bass, Congresswoman Sidney Kamlager Dove, Tennessee State Representative Justin Pearson, Dr. Cornel West, former Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr., the Sierra Club's Ben Jealous, and other Black influencers in the climate and health fields, as we continue to amplify the connection between climate and poor health outcomes for our people. Thank you for listening. I'm Councilman Curran Price.
This is KBLA Talk 1580, where hate loses and love wins.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. Our KBLA Talk 1580 4th anniversary events are fast approaching, and seating at all of our 4 special events is getting real tight. Have you all registered for our KBLA1580.com website for the event? If not, let me encourage you to stop and do it right now so you don't get left out. It's our 4th anniversary, and we want to celebrate it with you. If you're planning to join us for our 4th anniversary celebration and barbecue on Juneteenth, a holiday, we're asking you and everyone to bring a food gift or any amount for the victims of the Altadena fire, grocery store chain or restaurant. We're grateful for whatever you bring to help the families still displaced by the wildfires. So go to our KBLA15.com website right now and sign up for the events you plan to attend. All of our anniversary events are free, but seating is limited and you must register. Algernon Penn, welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you.
I want to go back to national messaging beyond the economy. In large measure, Black people are under attack. They feel under attack existentially, directly, politically, from DEI to the president's foreign policy across the motherland, to what he's doing in colleges and universities, and what cuts to Medicaid and Medicare and other social programs ultimately mean. There's a special message during this election season that has to be delivered to Black people. The hour that they're losing their books, their museum and narratives are being changed and forced upon us by the federal government, different narratives to accommodate Donald Trump's kind of make America great again messaging by returning it to kind of anti-intellectualism and anti-history. What is the message that Black people need to hear during the season?
The totality of the Black American experience and culture as we've known it, as we've grown up for about the last 5-6 generations, is so much under attack that if we don't have the spirit of rebellion against this, our culture as we see it today will no longer exist. I mean, think about it. Think about the history your father created. Think about the stories that every Black family has shared for generations up and down their lives. Think about the information that we received regarding our story within the United States of America since 1619, since the moment the first Black slaves got off the ship, and how that's been molded and intertwined into American history and to American culture. The fact that there's been a slow response to this means that if Donald Trump gets on a big enough roll, I'm in Chicago, and places like the Chicago Cultural Center will be different. Places like DuSable Museum will be under threat and under attack. The fact that you have Black colleges and other universities who house Black artifacts could also see them gone. And I've been very nervous about the fact that this anti-intellectualism has taken shape to the point that we don't give it much of a second thought. We fought for those things. I remember back in the 1970s where there was a fierce debate about Black studies programs in colleges and universities, and we won that fight. I remember the fight about the Black arts movement that happened in the 1970s, and we won that fight. We are in a position where we cannot risk the history, not for history's sake, but for our children and grandchildren's sake, because they'll be sanitized and basically have the history wiped away, that they'll have no knowledge against it. And so we have to really engender ourselves in that fight for the sake of them, not so much us or you or anybody else that's been here for a long time.
In my mind, I draw from that history because that history is the source of my energy. It's the source of my faith. It's the source of my theology. It's It's when I get up to preach or when I get up to speak to large audiences, when I don't have any notes in front of me, I can reach down and grab the stories of our people and the stories of our struggle, because I bring them with me, a kind of Trojan horse, that when I come, I let Malcolm out, I let Martin out, I let Medgar out, I let Jimmy Lee Jackson out, I let John Lewis out, I let Cornel West out, I let Michael Eric Dyson out, I let everybody out of me to address the circumstances of what's taking place that's affecting me existentially. And so when I think about the messaging on the economy for white folks, and don't get me wrong, Black folks are definitely hurting. And we have an economic message, but we're hurting even before we started hurting. We've always hurting. We're so used to hurting. We've turned
it's part of our DNA.
We've turned a weed into a collard green. A weed became a delicacy, right? I mean, we eat cheese. So we take scraps from the table and we do without. It's really, really other folk who aren't prepared for what's coming that end up jumping out of a building and trying to survive.
Yeah, and it's important that you give the context about really both sides of the coin, the majority culture of white people and the minority culture of Black people and other folks. And I've said this before the age of Trumpism started, especially after this second term of Donald Trump, after the election. And I've said this, and it's going to be interesting how far this comes down. White people in America have never felt oppression.
Well, they're going to feel some pain now, though.
Yeah, they're going to feel some pain from that. And so it's going to be interesting in terms of what their response is going to be. And we've seen flashes of that response. You know, when you talk about what you dig down and draw, I remember as a young kid just being enamored by your dad. Who was this guy with this chain around his neck, with this afro, who was speaking so boldly? I had never seen anything like this. I look at Muhammad Ali and his personal intellectual genius in terms of what he did during those 3.5 years when he was in exile as a heavyweight champion of the world. My point is this, and this is really the emphasis point that I felt earlier this week, where I saw a clip of Tom Hanks, who was commenting on this African-American lady who had celebrated a birthday. She is now 102 or 3 years old. She is the oldest survivor of the Tulsa massacre. And his response was, "What massacre?" He didn't know about it. He was in such a void of the obviousness of what had happened in Tulsa, you know, that he was very angry about the fact that this wasn't taught to him. This is the danger of the erasure of culture, any culture, Black culture, Asian culture, any culture. The fact that you erase this is basically you're telling history they lied. And that's impossible because you cannot kill truth. It's impossible to do.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to one of the nation's leading political consultants, Algernon Penn. I'm Jesse Jackson Jr., listening to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show on KBLA. When we come forward, Algernon Penn.
The station you turn to when you've had it up to here with cultural incompetence. KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, I'm LA City Councilman Curran Price, inviting you to join us on Saturday, June the 14th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. as we cut the ribbon on the brand new Enel Woods Park at 8703 South McKinley Avenue. Thanks to a generous donation from Heal the Bay, the park features smart irrigation, stormwater capture systems, and space for local wildlife to thrive. And we've built a walking trail, picnic areas, native landscaping, and quiet spaces for families to gather, relax, and connect. This is part of a much larger effort to expand green spaces across South LA with 3 new parks in the works, a first-of-its-kind community center coming soon, and plans to connect it all through the South LA Greenway. So mark your calendar for Saturday, June 14th, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m., And come celebrate a greener, stronger South LA at NL Woods Park. I'm also pleased to sponsor the Climate Justice Plus Black Health Symposium, moderated by Tavis Smiley, live on C-SPAN, Wednesday, June the 18th, from 4 to 7 p.m. at the Nate Holden Performing Arts Center. Just a reminder to sign up right away at the KBLA1580.com website to join me, Mayor Karen Bass, Congresswoman Sidney Kamlager Dove, Tennessee State Representative Justin Pearson, Dr. Cornel West, former Congressman Jesse Jackson Jr., the Sierra Club's Ben Jealous, and other Black influencers in the climate and health fields as we continue to amplify the connection between climate and poor health outcomes for our people. Thank you for listening. I'm Councilman Curran Price.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
Founded in Los Angeles in 1986, litigation powerhouse Quinn Emanuel has deep roots in the Los Angeles community. Since 2007, we have litigated some of the largest fires on the West Coast. We are proud to be the only AmLaw 100 firm in the country to represent wildfire victims, giving affected individuals, families, and businesses the same focus and individualized attention we devote to our Fortune 500 clients. BTI Consulting has repeatedly recognized Quinn Emanuel as among the 4 law firms in-house counsel least likely to oppose in any litigation, and we are often deemed the most feared. And after securing over $80 billion for our clients in various matters firm-wide, we understand why. If you have been affected by the recent wildfires in Altadena and the Palisades and would like to discuss your situation further, please contact wildfire support at QuinnEmanuel.com or call us at 213-443-3050. Quinn Emanuel is proud to sponsor Conversation Live Altadena Rising with James Farr on KBLA Talk 1580.
Attorney advertising. Prior results do not guarantee future outcomes.
The State of the People Power Tour is not a moment, it's a movement. 11 cities, one mission: to organize with care, build with strategy, and remind ourselves that we have never needed saving. This Friday and Saturday, the State of the People Power Tour arrives in LA for its final stop. Join us this Friday, June 6th in Los Angeles, and on Saturday, June 7th in Pasadena. To register, go to stateoftheppl.com and join us as we build a new nation where every voice matters.
Can your pad absorb everything and stay fresh? Always Radiant with Flex Foam can. Get up to 0 leaks, 0 odor, and 0 feel, because Flex Foam is the only pad with a flexible foam core. You heard me, foam. Always Radiant is so thin, it feels like nothing, yet protects like nothing else. Can your pad do that? For up to 100% leak-free protection, try Always Radiant to see what Flex Foam can do for you.
Now at Verizon, we have some big news for your peace of mind. For all our customers, existing and new, we're locking in low prices for 3 years guaranteed on My Plan and My Home. That's future you peace of mind. And everyone can save on a brand new phone on My Plan when you trade in any phone from one of our top brands. That's new phone peace of mind. Because at Verizon, whether you're already a customer or you're just joining us, we got you. Visit Verizon today. Price guarantee applies to then current base monthly rate. Additional terms and conditions apply for all offers.
Hey there, Los Angeles. This is James Lucky Jr., publisher and editor of Los Angeles News Observer. Are you hungry for news that matters to you in the African-American communities of Los Angeles? Well, buckle up, because we got the scoop you've been craving. Stay in the know and never miss a beat with our free weekly publications conveniently available near you. Or hop on the digital wave and become an exclusive subscriber at OGNSC.com. Don't forget to join the party on Instagram and Twitter at OGNSCINC for behind-the-scenes access and sizzling updates. No more FOMO. Let's stay informed, connected, and empowered together.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Los Angeles Regional Food Bank is on a mission to fight hunger and provide nutritious food to those in need across our community. They partner with federal, state, and local programs advocating for better policies and funding for critical hunger relief programs like Cal Fresh, the Emergency Food Assistance Program, and the Child and Adult Care Food Program. The food bank works with coalitions and local representatives to make sure hunger is addressed in every district of LA County. They also run nutrition education campaigns, raise hunger awareness, and source nutritious food for distribution, all while supporting regulations that allow food pantries to operate safely. Want to help? Visit lafoodbank.org or call 323-234-3030 to volunteer or find a food bank near you. Together, we can ensure that no one goes hungry in Los Angeles County. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
We're not for everybody, but we're for everybody. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580.
I'm Jesse Jackson Jr. Welcome forward to the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show. My very special guest is Algernon Penn. Al, welcome forward to the show.
Thank you.
So we've covered the economy. We've covered the economy and the language necessary to speak to Black people to potentially get them motivated. But there's some generational problems here. Young people may be completely disengaged by both the Democratic or with both the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. Any strategies for reaching out to the young people to get them engaged, to help them understand that the very future of the Republic itself is at stake?
Yeah, and I think it's the same thing that they concern themselves with. It's their pocketbook. I think what's worked for me in the areas and spaces that I've been able to talk to young people is to give them the direct correlation between voting, being an active participant in their government at various levels, and their pocketbook. And most young people don't see the association. You know, I tell them that laws are being passed in terms of how much they pay for license plates and how much they pay for, a city sticker, and the taxes that they pay on their utilities and their food. I tell them every time they go to the store, they're paying a tax, some sort of tax. And they need to know where that money goes. And most of them have never really thought about it in those clear terms until they become an adult and they have to be, self-responsible and have to really learn how to budget, their finances to the point of saying, wait a minute, I don't have enough money. Why is that? Well, part of it is the taxes that you pay. There is a discussion, and there are elected officials who make those decisions in terms of how your life is going to be. But more so ever, that there are decisions that are made regarding the impact in your life on certain things that happen to you and for you or against you. It's environmental. It's about health care. It's about free passage from one location to the other. It's all of those things. And so I found out that has a little bit of an impact to get them starting to think, wait a minute, I didn't realize I was really paying all of this, or all of this was being done to me. This is why I'm telling young people that if they don't participate in the voting process and in engaging their elected officials about their everyday lives, you are giving free passage to elected officials to do what they want without your knowledge. And I think that's the way you have to really frame it to them.
I had Dr. Wilmer Leon on our program just the other day, earlier this week, and Dr. Leon is a noted political scientist as well, graduate of Hampton Institute as well as Howard University, PhD, has a law degree, very, very serious political mind. And one of the things that he said about the problem with the Democratic Party is it is now a party of philosophers, a party of teachers, a party of professors, a party of public policy people, and there are no tangible deliverables that end up on the dining room table of our constituents, where constituents actually say, the turkey sitting on my table, my politician put it there. Mm-hmm. My local elected official made it happen. Now, that might be the most imperfect example, but Wilmer Leon was reaching for the things that people can touch. Was my pothole fixed? Did my neighborhood get safer? I've had enough talk, enough public policy. What's happening right here in my hood? Right. And whether or not things are changing that I can feel, or do you just show up at election time with your record for voting in some far distant place that none of us get a chance to visit, Washington, D.C., or my state legislature?
I totally agree with you. That's why I made reference to New York, and I'll make another reference to a suburban mayor in Chicago who I helped get elected about 5 years ago. One of the things I told him, the bar for a newly elected mayor is really not that high, but you can fall in a deep hole rather quickly. He said, what do you mean by that? I said, when people elect an elected official like a mayor, they want to see basic things done to see their tax dollars at work. As you talked about, was the pothole fixed? Are the lights in the street, are they operable? You know, is my garbage picked up on time?
Is the school better?
Yes, the school better.
Is the neighborhood safer? Can my child walk home from school?
Yeah, those are the tangible things they want to see, because they can see that their decision to elect this person and their tax dollars simultaneously are both working for them. But if they don't see those things with the change over in administrations, then they tend to think that their vote didn't count, or the newly elected person is tone deaf. And that's why I always advocate they do the small things first, so people can see some things in action that make them feel good about their choice.
It's against the backdrop of this point. The Democrats, with the final minute and a half that we have left, pulled up a taco truck to the Republican National Committee to essentially say that Donald Trump was AWOL on the question of the budget. But they put a taco truck there. I mean, it's almost juvenile that became a national story for a national political party this week. We have about a minute and a half left. Al, your thoughts about the messaging that's coming out of Washington that does not resonate around our tables?
I don't even call it messaging. I call it stunts.
Mm.
You know, for the joint address that Donald Trump had, several months ago, you see Democrats sitting in the chamber with fans with signs on it that says lies or not true. That's a stunt.
Mm.
To see the minority speaker and a multi-term U.S. senator on the backdrop of an album cover by a hip-hop group in the 1980s as if they're proving that they're relevant is a stunt. This is why the Democratic Party can't really do much of anything, because these stunts aren't moving people. They need real solutions and real engagement with the people that they represent.
My very special guest has been Al Penn. Al has impacted African-American home ownership across the country. He was a major influence with the WOW Ownership Wealth Initiative, which was a national effort promoted by the Congressional Black Caucus Foundation that once helped 1 million African-American homeowners by 2005. With this effort, he served on 4 congressional task force committees across the nation, Chicago, Detroit, and St. Louis, addressing the needs of African-American homeownership. Al, thank you for being on the Jesse Jackson Jr. Show.
Thank you, Jesse.
When we come forward, we will be next week traveling on to LA. I'll see you guys soon.